Telegram, right? You have to have Telegram. I have all my new recruits download their Telegram before we even start the Fast Start meeting, because I'm going to send them the video link and everything there. So I know they have it and it's set up. So talk about communication. And then after that is consistency. Just get them in the right mindset. Hey, you got to consistently show up to training. Saturday morning is important. If you have other trainings with your teams, make sure you let them know when those trainings are and making sure they're consistent, and then consistently get better. I kind of let people off the hook a little bit. I'm like, hey, you don't have to be great, Jen. You don't have to be perfect at the presentation to begin with, but just consistently get better. If I give you some critiques, make sure you're adding that in the next time, right? So that's number one. And then this is huge because licensing needs to be increased right now, especially going into 2022. Make sure your new recruits get their study material set up. I send them the instructions, and sometimes people don't get it set up. So we have implemented within our team, we're going to set it up with them. Make sure they know and it's set up so they know how to go through it. And then after that, we're going to go through a brief compensation breakdown. Nothing too hard, just saying, hey, Sheila, if I talk to a client and they say I can afford $50 to $100 a month, great. Well, let's say I give them a quote for 65, 84, and 95. And let's say they picked $84 a month. How we do that, we multiply it by 12, get the 1,000 in premium, and then multiply it by our contract rate. So then I'll say someone could be a rep at 25% and someone could be at 50%. Now, and then I'll make them calculate it there with their calculator. Say, hey, do you have a calculator? Cool, pull it out. How much would you make? And then I'll say, okay, what if it was $65 and you're a district leader? How much would you make? Just so I know that they understand how to calculate that and calculate annual premium and compensation. Then I'll explain the field training bonus, which everybody should know at this point right now, right? Logging into the app, getting $50, completing their pre-licensing within 30 days, they get $100. And then every time they do one recruit, 1,000 in premium, they get $200 added to that. So minimum $350, but I'm going to challenge you, Jen. I challenge all my new teammates to do 10 by 10,000 in their training period. And you have 90 days to pass your test and get that done. So that's there. And then I'm going to go over the text messages, the introducing. All you have to do, I'm going to do the heavy lifting for you, Sheila. You don't have to talk to anybody. You don't have to make any calls. You don't have to do anything. All you have to do is send a text. You think you can send out a text? Of course, great. Well, with that, and some teams may also use something else other than texting. They may be calling as well. So that's fine. For me, I do use texting. So with that, hey, great. Can you send out this 3-way text? Perfect. Explain it, walk through the scripts with them, make sure they're comfortable. Do you have any concerns with that? You think you can do that? Great, because once they say yes and they're okay with the process, we have to take action. You have to take action. So at that point, I'm going to go into building a list with them. We do something called the 4-minute name game. Right? I think we have some trainings on YouTube about that. I don't have time to go through that specifically today, but we're going to help them brainstorm and start building a list. So getting some names down of people they know, family, friends, coworkers, professional acquaintances, and then qualifying it. Are they married? Do they have kids? Any of those situations as far as macho, and then get them to send the messages right then and there. Right then and there. So to give you an example, last month, like I said, I had 9 directs. Not all people that you recruit are going to stick around. So out of those 9 directs, I had 5 people that had successful fast start meetings. What do I mean by successful fast start meetings? We at least set an appointment, one appointment personally with them and their spouse, or them and their parents, somebody. And then we got at least 10 contacts from them. How did that happen? They sent out at least 10 messages to all qualified people. So right now, starting off December, I have 50 new contacts that I can now reach out to set up training presentations with. So today, at that appointment setting blitz, I'm gonna be on a roll, calling, booking out my week, right? So build the list, qualify it, make sure they're sending the text or making the call right then in the fast start meeting. So then you can start setting up your week and getting some results. But that's usually what I've been doing with my team guys and the people that I'm working with. And make sure you master your process in the Fast Start meeting. Shaquille talked about when you do an interview, like, or a recruiting appointment, Josh has his process for recruiting and prospecting mastered. Master that. But then you need to make sure you're mastering your Fast Start meeting. So once you get the Fast Start meeting done, now you got to actually go on the appointments. So Jen's going to take it away.
Appointments are so easy to do, guys. And I'm going to say that because some people that hear me say that, they're going to be like, oh, it's easy for you to say. Yeah, it is because I worked on myself. Yeah, it is because Shondell worked on herself. Yeah, it is because Sheila worked on herself, on her skill sets, right? But I have a question for Shondell really quick. How many recruiting appointments do you set, Shondell, more or less, to be able to do 10?
Yeah, so my goal every day is to set at least 5.
Mm-hmm. So just set 5 a day. And these are recruiting appointments between webinars and the animated video. You do the follow-up. There's 10 follow-up recruiting appointments.
Right.
And how long does it take you to do a recruiting appointment?
15, 20 minutes.
Okay, 20 minutes. So at maximum half an hour or whatever, I guess,
right.
You know, if you want to call it that. Because some people think they're working more than what they're actually doing, right?
Right.
So, and then when you do these recruiting appointments, are they mostly during the day or the evening or?
Yeah, so most of mine are going to be during the day. Since I use the webinar, is 10 a.m. and 2 p.m. are my go-to times during the week. In the evenings is when I'm going to be focusing on my qualified appointments. And then I do utilize Saturday and Sunday as well. So Saturday, we have an 11 a.m. option with Shaq's webinar. And then also Sunday evening, I'll use.
And do you find that with the recruits that are coming in during the day, sometimes if you have, like, say, like an empty 6 o'clock slot in the evening or an 8 o'clock slot in the evening, do you find sometimes if you recruit somebody during the day, they might turn into an appointment immediately that night?
Yeah, definitely. Right. If I've been in situations where I've recruited somebody in the morning and I'm like, they have a lot of questions for me, like, well, about the products or the services. Great. Well, let's set up an appointment. Are you and your wife home together this evening? Yeah, sure. Well, I have a 7 o'clock time available. Do you think we could meet and then we can at least go through the presentation? Great. Perfect. Same day.
And that's how you guys close. That's urgency right there. I was just thinking because everything you were going through was so good. It was so simple. But listen, guys, everything that Shondell just answered to my questions, that's literally all you got to do, right? If you just get your recruit in front of your competent trainer and the qualified appointments get set, as long as that trainer has some urgency, right? And that's what it is. There's no reason for anybody not to have anything booked during their evening as long as they're doing recruiting activity during the day. Unless you're like phenomenal at referrals and you're going client to client, right? But let's talk about these QAs. So what is a QA? Back to the fundamentals. A QA is a qualified appointment. So this puts you in a position to be closer to the hoop versus farther from the hoop. Again, back to the Fast Start meeting slideshow that we have. If you've seen it before, there's a basketball visual where it shows being 2 feet from the hoop versus 30 feet. Mr. New Recruit, the reason why we want to stay doing qualified appointments versus unqualified appointments is because it puts you closer to the hoop. If you're playing basketball, would you rather be 2 feet from the hoop or 30 feet? 2, right? Because it's easier to make the shot. So if you're staying in qualified appointments versus not qualified, it's going to be easier for you to do business with that person because they want to do business with you too, naturally. Why? They're in the 4 to 5 point target market. So that means that they are married. They are aged 25 to 55. They have children under 18 years old. Not, hey, do they have children? Yes. How old are their youngest child? 32. Okay, that's not a child anymore, right? They have children under 18. They own a home or at least live on their own. And they are employed. This is so important, okay? Some people, they say, oh, well, they have an income. What is it? Oh, it's disability. No, that's not an employed income, guys, right? Oh, they live under Section 8 and they get, TANF. No, that is not an income. That is not an income. That's not a working income. They need to have a working income. And if it's not a job, it's a business that they have consistent income coming from, right? The most important thing to know, and when you see this and you're teaching yourself and you're learning yourself to stay in the qualified market, when you teach your new recruit now, you are now showing your new recruit that they can make money too, because now you know how to make money. The 4 to 5 point market is where we make money, and because that's where we do the business. Somebody like me, and I always talk about this, if you were trying to, Shondell, talk to me when I started, before I started in the business, I was 20 years old, not in the age range. I was not married, had no children, still no children. I was living under Section 8 with my mother, right? I was not living on my own at that time. I was just working. So I only fell into one point. Could you really convince me to start a college savings plan for children I don't have? No, right? So wouldn't you be frustrated trying to convince me to do something that I'm really not in the market for? Absolutely. So that's why you want to stay in the market. So when we set the QA, me and Shondell, we run this by the character reference text. So this is a 3-way text that I wish I would have copy and pasted it into here. This, sorry guys. But the 3-way text basically says, hey, I just started with a new company and I listed you as a personal character reference. Please say great things about me and expect a call from Jennifer Lee at 202, so on. Thank you so much. And that 3-way text, who's on the 3-way text? It's the trainee sending the text to the person, the character reference we want to set a QA with, attached with the trainer's number as well. Why do we want to attach the trainer on there? Why do you want to be attached on that 3-way text? Well, Mr. New Recruit, I don't want to call anybody that you know if they're not expecting my call. And I know that's probably not, something you want me to do anyways, right? Your credibility is really important to me. And when you text them, all I want to do is wait for them to text back first. And if they text back, okay, great, I got you, and so on, that's when I will call them, Shondell. That because I have permission to call them. Does that make sense? Perfect. So go ahead and send this text, copy and paste it, put it in a 3-way. Once I get that, let's move on to the next person. And that's exactly what I do in the Fast Start meeting. As far as after a couple of appointments, if somebody like Greg has been through 2 or 3 appointments, right? And he gets it now. He knows, hey, if I put my trainer in front of these appointments, cool. Now there are some people that are texted that he texts out who don't answer our phone call, even though he sends the character reference text. That's okay, right? But now that he's seen a few appointments, now Bao and I can teach him how to use Feethor. Hey, I need a favor. I'm really excited about a new position or a new company that I just started with. And I'm in training right now, but I need your help. And then maybe you can introduce me to any other referrals, right? Or any other introductions to other people that may need my help. Thank you, Shondell. However, even when we taught Greg first how to set the appointment, guess who was still confirming the QA? Bao or me. Why? Because if Greg is setting appointments, that's great, but he's still a trainee at the end of the day. So there may be some hiccups we need to fill in, maybe some holes we need to fill in as far as solidifying that appointment. And as a person you guys are, trainers or trainers to be, do you ever want to waste your time? Do you ever want to block off your time and be no-showed? No. That's why the trainer confirms the QA, right? And so when we confirm the QA, we know at least the trainee qualified that person. Hey, they're married, right? And then both their spouses are going to be there. They're employed. Oh, this is, the time when they're off, right? We can do certain things like that on the phone while we're qualifying the appointment. Sometimes when a trainer qualifies the appointment, there's been some times when it's like, oh yeah, I told him I might be able to do it. I told Greg I might be able to do it. It wasn't like a solid appointment. That's never happened with Greg, but other people it has, right? And at least I can catch it and not expect to sit around at 2:00 on a Saturday waiting for this person to sign in when they really didn't confirm, right? So that's that. So that's just making sure you set solidified appointments, guys, and you are putting all your eggs in the right basket, right? Next. All right, so let's talk about closing. The other day I was talking to one of our teammates or a couple of our teammates, and I was just going through their closing process, because when somebody is training somebody, again, this goes back to duplication. Sometimes when a new trainer steps in the field, it's kind of like telephone. You guys ever play telephone? where the first person sends the message to the second person, and then by the time it reaches like the third person, fourth person, sixth person, the message just gets construed all over the place. It's like, yo, that's not even what I said, right? I said I like Beyonce, not Lady Gaga. You know, like what is going on? But so when we are training people, it is so important that we make it simple in a systematic manner that looks exactly how your trainer trained you, right? Because one day, maybe you're too busy, good problem. Maybe you're too busy to do that second appointment. Okay, I'm not a Justin Bieber fan. No, heck no. But he's cool. So when you are training somebody, if one day you are double booked, right? Whether you're a new trainer or the more competent trainer, and you're double booked, both appointments for some reason they confirm, right? You're just booked out for the evening, but you don't want to reschedule the appointment, which you should not, right? You need to be able to ask somebody else that can close for you. And so when that new trainee is going from me to, let's say, Bao, that trainee should see the same exact process. Because once they see me, they're like, oh yeah, maybe that's just Jen. But then they see Bao, they're like, this sounded exactly like Jen. Or vice versa, right? Every time Bao sends me on an appointment with one of her guys or girls, I'll say, hey, what did you learn? What are 3 things you learned? Okay, now let me ask you, was it similar to Bao's presentation or not at all? Oh no, it sounded exactly the same, almost exactly the same. You guys have a different like approach to it, but you guys did the same exact slides. You guys asked the same exact questions. That's what I want to hear, because now the trainee gets it. And it helps the trainee listen to you more because they understand there is a system here, right? But if Bao sounds differently than me and I sound way differently than her, now the trainee has an excuse to do their own thing too. And how are we going to grow and compound that way if everybody's trying to do their own thing, right? McDonald's does not allow you to make the cheeseburger a different way. So when we go through the presentation, from the beginning of the presentation to the financial house, that is just flowers and fairy dust, in my opinion, because you're just giving the who we are, what we do. That's cool. You haven't really gone into the nitty gritty just yet, right? Yes, you found out what they wasted as far as a month in their disposable income. Yes, you found out that they feel like anybody with dependents and an income needs to protect their income. They agree with you. Yes, you got yes momentum, and that's all important, right? You shouldn't skip any of that. But that's just the surface, right? And so when you get into the nitty gritty, that's when you really have to have a chess playing skill set. And so there's a couple of scenarios that you have to learn, and there's only a few. I'm going to go through group and private insurance. That's it, right? Only 2 scenarios you got to learn. That's it. Everything else is just little bits of the puzzle, or a brick after brick you just got to add on. So let's go through group. When you ask, do you feel overinsured, underinsured, or not sure, Mike and Shondell, they say whatever they say, underinsured, right?
Underinsured. Mhm.
Right, underinsured. And is this coverage you have through your job or outside of your job?
Through my job.
Through your job, okay. And then Mike, is it through your job or outside of your job? He says through his job. So now we know at least one or both of them have group. If one of the spouses has group and the other spouse has private, always kill group first. Always kill group first, no matter what, right? And play the video. If you don't play the video where the teacher unfortunately had a benefit that didn't pay out through his job, right, to his wife, that you're gonna have a very hard time killing group. Let the wife in the video, the third party credible video, tell the QA that you're trying to close and move forward with. Let her tell them that if this happens to her, this can happen to them as well. And after you kill group, then you get a confirmation. Can you see, Shondell, why we always recommend you have private insurance you have full control over?
Yep.
So now that